This animal is a monster whose father is a lion. It remains open what the mother is. Dragoon Captain Jean-Baptiste Boulandet Duhamel speculating on the origin of La Bête in 1765. Hello there, friends, and welcome to the Paranatural Podcast. My name is Ben.
And I'm Drew Breeze.
Drew Breeze, huh? Where's my Millie, bitch? And we are so glad to have you with us tonight as we venture into the forests of a remote region in 1700s France and talk about a monster that preyed upon the people who lived there. A monster that would go down in history as the Beast of Gevaudan. Jacob, how you doing tonight, brother?
Well, I'm wondering if I'm going to need a translator for this episode or not.
I'll do my best. But yeah, fair warning, y'all, there is a lot of French pronunciation shit in here, and I took 4 years of French in high school, but high school was a very long time ago, so just bear with me if I fuck it all up.
Oh, they won't know unless we have listeners from France.
We do from time to time. We actually do.
Or French Canada.
And we're actually growing quite the presence in the UK. Which, hey, how you guys doing over there? That's awesome. I love it.
Howdy, fellas.
And they're a lot more like sophisticated and worldly than we are over here in the States, so they might actually speak a little French. I don't know. Well, but we're going to try our best.
Let me sophisticate them the proper way. Howdy, fuckers. Love ya. There we go.
So anyway.
I feel better now.
Anyway, how you been? How you doing?
I'm great.
Good.
Hallucinating, but great.
All right, sweet.
Yeah. No, man, that scared the shit out of me last night.
Yeah, I bet it did.
And just so everyone knows, everyone who's been listening to this podcast from early on knows I have a history with hallucinating. And though my sleep is now pretty good, I have lingering symptoms. And last night I was doing a thing at a church camp. Well, at a church, but it's for a camp thing. And a portrait of Jesus was blinking at me. And yeah, I got creeped out. I had to call Ben. He made me feel better.
Hey, it would have creeped me out too. You know, they say the Lord is watching over you, but that was a little too literal.
Oh, yeah, that was very literal. Okay, but how are you?
Well, doing pretty good.
Why?
It was kind of a long week, but I learned something valuable that I want to share with everyone because I like to pass on my life lessons here on the podcast. So, you know how they say, like, don't run with scissors? Because obviously it's, like, kind of dangerous.
Oh.
Well, I learned this week that you also shouldn't run with bagpipes. You could get killed. Okay. All right. I would see myself out, but then we wouldn't have a show. So I lived for that. Anyway. All right. On to something just as fun, maybe more fun, but also more serious. Jacob! We got a new Patreon member to thank. So I would like to give a huge Paranatural thank you to Virginia W. for choosing to join the Patreon and help support the show. She did that back in October 18th, and I just noticed it
hey, that's
the
a
other
good
day.
birthday.
So, yeah, right? That was your birthday.
I believe she's been posting on the
She has been
Facebook too.
Active in our Facebook group a little bit, which we also appreciate, ma'am. And I believe she left us a review. So this lady is another rock and roll lady, and we love you for it.
I'm glad. But let's not leave Derek out. Derek's a rock and roll lady too.
Yes, Derek is also a rock and roll lady. He gets salty if we don't mention him.
Can't deal with that salt.
And since we kill him off every Halloween, I suppose he does deserve his honorable mentions.
He didn't die in this Halloween. He was just in hell.
Yeah, right. Anyway. So, yes, Virginia, thank you very much for your support. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much, you rock and roll lady, you.
You.
Yeah.
Now, before we get into the meat and taters of tonight's episode, a quick disclaimer of sorts is appropriate. So this one is a bit gory in its subject matter and involves instances of women and younglings meeting their end in some gruesome manners. So,
but no sheep fucking.
No, none of that. But, you know, just younglings getting offed it's not always a pleasant topic. So if you are the type of person who's crazy enough to let your own younglings listen to this show, maybe screen this one first. So maybe screen all of them first, honestly. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah, and just wipe Satan's Harvest off the map.
Completely,
don't let them listen to that one.
Not even a little bit.
No.
That's where the sheep fucking occurred.
I mean, that's where it was.
So, all right. Ready to get into this?
You know I am, Ben.
You know it, baby. All right. So, our story begins in April of 1764, when a young woman from the French parish of, Saint-Flour-de-Mercoeur was guarding her family's cattle. Now, it does not specify what kind of cattle these were, so we're just going to go with cattle. No, it does differentiate throughout the reports whether they were sheep or cattle. But I don't know if these were cow cattle or yak cattle or ox cattle or what the fuck kind of cattle they were.
In France?
In France. Sheep were very common in this region, but this specifically says cattle. And by the way they act, which we'll get into here as I go through the story, I'm like 110% sure these were not sheep.
Let's go moo pyres.
So, she, along with her dogs, were watching over the cattle in a quiet mountain pasture when suddenly an enormous predatory creature appeared. The creature, whatever it was, had a broad chest, a large head, a long snout full of sharp teeth, and a black stripe that ran down its back to the tip of a long, thin tail. The thing was so foreboding and intimidating that the girl's dogs pulled a "fuck this shit, I'm out" and scattered, which is not something that livestock dogs are known to do, just FYI. These dogs generally are bred to be nearly fearless. They will fight bears, fight wolves, and straight up murk strangers if they're told to. But these guys did not want any beef with the Beast of Gevaudan, okay? So now this young woman is left to defend her cattle from this unidentifiable monster all on her own, right? Well, not exactly. You see, the Beast showed no interest in the cattle. The Beast apparently wanted her. It came after the young woman, and I can only imagine that she thought she was done for. But in a shocking turn of events, the cattle she was there to protect began protecting her. They gathered together, forming a protective wall around the young woman, and the bulls of the herd began charging at the Beast. The Beast lunged repeatedly, but the cattle stubbornly held their ground, defying the monster's attempts to maul the young woman until it finally gave up and returned to wherever it had come from. The young woman survived the incident with torn and tattered clothes and, I'm guessing, a healthy amount of psychological trauma, but no physical injury. Now, as horrible as that would have been to deal with, the young woman would turn out to be one of the more fortunate people to encounter La Bête. Over the next 3 years, La Bête would claim many victims. Some were found with their throats ripped out, some with their heads no longer attached to the rest of their meat suits, some were partially eaten, and some were unalived, seemingly for the sake of unaliving someone.
Why you gotta use that word?
Because it irritates the fuck out of you. Estimates on the total number of victims varies wildly. Some sources say that between 60 and 100 adults and younglings were excused from participating in life, with more than 30 being injured. One report from 1987 claims that the number was 500 people put on a t-shirt, 98 of those partially eaten, and 49 injured. Either way, that is a fuck ton of people to be taken off the census in a 3-year period.
Yeah. At least they were on T-shirts and not milk cartons.
Well, that does not count the people on the milk cartons, Jacob.
Son of a
There
dick.
were some who probably got and were never found at all. Just fucking Francois getting 411 by Labette and nobody knew. So, you know.
Well, a paranatural statement. Don't got, guys.
Yeah, don't got. Don't got.
Don't got.
The first recorded victim of the beast was a month after the heroic cattle incident when a 15-year-old girl was attacked in the same general area. Before succumbing to her injuries, she described the animal as an unknown, horrible beast. Better descriptions would follow, and just so we're all on the same page with what la bête, which is French for the beast, in case you're not catching that, was said to look like, I will share that description now. The creature was described as wolf-like, but many eyewitnesses note that it wasn't any sort of typical wolf. It was much too big for starters, being said to be somewhere between the size of a calf and a horse. It was a reddish-gray color with a stripe that ran from the top of its large, pig-like head to the tip of its tail. It had large, sharp teeth and talons on its feet. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out there right now that most people, historians and whatnot, say that the Beast of Gevaudan was nothing but a large Eurasian wolf that had acquired a taste for human flesh. But I'm going to ask you, Jacob, and dear listeners, does that description sound anything like a fucking wolf to you?
Exactly, if you're really drunk with your eyes closed and are paraplegic and blind.
Not sure what paraplegic has to do with it, but yeah, we'll go with that.
Veil.
The rest of it, yeah, I'm with you. Now, it gets even worse because wolves, as we know, are persistence and pack hunters, okay? They, in a pack, chase down their prey until it gets too tired to fight back, and then they attack it, right? This is what wolves do. The Beast of Gevaudan, on the other hand, hunted in the style of a typical ambush hunter, with most attacks occurring during the night or early in the morning. Most of the wounds on Labette's victims were on the head and neck. Allegedly, 16 of those victims were found sans coconut.
His head fell off.
In some cases, the aforementioned head was found 200 paces from the body, and in other cases, it was never found at all. In June of 1764, the beast would claim the life of a 14-year-old shepherd girl named Jean Boulet while she was tending her flock. In September of 1764, a young boy from the Yole family goes missing while tending another flock of sheep. His partially eaten remains would be found and immediately buried. So this thing was just after some folks. There were many such cases during the Beast's reign of terror. I'm not going to go through the entire list, but it is out there if anyone wants to look. I found it on a French website dedicated to the Beast of Gevaudan, which I forgot to note, or I would put it in the description. You can find it, though. The list comes from the records of the local church, and the site's creator sums up the list saying, quote, "In this morbid listing, I take into account all attacked persons, whether directly killed, bitten or scratched, or indirectly only present in an attacked group," end quote. Now, that quote is fascinating to me because most animals will absolutely not attack a group of fucking people. It just doesn't happen. People in a group are scary to animals. People in general are scary to animals, but in a group, that gets even worse. Not like, I mean, they'll attack if they're cornered and don't have any other choice, but generally, no, that's not happening.
Or if they have some sort of disease, like if they're rabid or chronic wasting disease.
Correct.
Yeah.
But with you bringing that up, it's a great point. It's a great argument. But this occurred over a 3-year period. Rabies and chronic wasting disease and any kind of disease, really.
Killed before a year.
Long before a year. Rabies is what, 10 days? I think. From the onset of symptoms until you succumb. It's like 10 days.
And chronic wasting disease basically melts your brain.
Right. The website creator also comments on the fact that some people were attacked more than once, which feels fucking deliberate and not at all like something a regular animal would be doing.
Shows intelligence.
It seems to. And it wasn't like just one unlucky motherfucker got attacked more than once. It was like a bunch of people. So there feels like a little deliberate going on there.
Deliverance.
Deliverance.
No.
You got a pretty mouth, boy. Anyway.
When are we going to hear the pig squealing?
I don't have that on the soundboard.
Thank God.
I can put it on there.
No.
We can do this one.
Holy shit! Hey!
That's close enough.
Yeah.
In October, still in 1764, a man named Jean-Pierre Pourchet was putting some bundles, I assume wheat or something, in order in his barn. So he's in there stacking wheat or hay. I don't know what the fuck he was doing. He's in his barn doing barn work. It was near dusk and there was snow on the ground. And all of a sudden, he sees a shadow pass by the narrow window of the barn. He grabs his shotgun and posts up in front of the stables looking out onto the village street. In front of the village waterspout, he sees a monstrous animal, the like of which he had never seen before. It is the beast, he says to himself, shaking so much that he could barely keep hold of his weapon. Still, he manages to get a hold of his manhood, and as the beast crosses in front of him, he shoulders the shotgun, takes aim, and fires. The beast falls, but gets quickly back to its feet, shaking its head and looking around furiously. Pourchet fires again. The beast cries out in pain and takes off, making, quote, a noise like two people breaking up after a fight, end quote. I have no idea what that noise is supposed to be, but that's what he said it sounded like. The encounter left Pourchet believing that, barring a miracle, the inhabitants of Gevaudan were doomed to be eaten.
I forgot to bring this up earlier, but how did you describe the tail?
The tail,
like you said thin, right?
Yeah, long and thin.
But it doesn't say bushy.
Like relatively long and thin, but it's also described as being like quite a formidable tail.
Formidable?
Yeah, like
so
it's
it could be bushy.
No, like big or round,
Wide?
but like not like a wolf's tail. It is never described bushy like a wolf's tail.
That's what I was explaining.
Like a muscular tail, but long and thin.
Okay. More like kangaroo-ish.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting out of it.
Yeah, wolves don't have tails like that. They have little bushy tails.
Right. Yeah.
Wiggle.
Like some cats have tails like that. But not wolves.
No.
But anyway. So the thing takes 2 shotgun blasts and lives, Jacob.
It happens.
Now, I'm not sure what he had his shotgun loaded with. It doesn't say.
Salt.
But still, fuck me. It's a tough bitch. And this would actually happen more than once. Like lots of times people shot it and it just got up and got away or whatever.
In 1764, you said?
Yes.
What kind of shotguns are you going to have?
They're flintlock.
Your gun guy. Flintlock.
Yeah, they're flintlock.
So it's shooting a ball at him.
It could have been a ball because shotguns could be loaded with balls. It could have been pellet shot. It could have been buckshot. I mean, they had essentially all the types of projectile we have now. The barrels were all smooth bore at the time.
Yeah.
The projectiles were all round.
Yeah.
But for shotguns, you had, you loaded them up with like a big ball, kind of like we do a slug, or smaller pellets in varying sizes. So it could have been some sort of bird shot, which a larger animal is just going to fucking shake that off at a distance, any great distance. But I don't know.
And back then, if they did do multiple projectiles, they weren't in a cartridge. They weren't in a shell.
Correct.
It was all singularly loaded.
Correct.
And just tip and shoot.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, that's that era that we're talking about. Think Revolutionary War era.
And for any farmer with a shotgun, unless he's just trying to scare something off, which back in the 1700s...
No, you killed shit. You didn't scare it off. You killed the fucker.
So, like, just anything that makes sense. I would say it had to have been at least a big ball or a couple of smaller.
Right, some larger, what we would consider buckshot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fair assessment, although bird hunting and fowling and rabbit hunting takes the smaller shot, and you would actually more likely be doing that on a daily. But if he's carrying it with him for protection into the stables, yeah, he's probably got it loaded up with something a little heavier than that. So who knows?
All right, please continue.
So, just to sum up things for this to this point. Toward the end of 1764, a local newspaper characterized the situation by saying, quote, "A ferocious beast of unknown type coming from who knows where attacks the human species, killing individuals, drinking their blood, feasting on their flesh, and multiplying its carnage from day to day. Hunters who are in pursuit have neither been able to stop it because it is more agile than they, nor lured it into their traps because it surpasses them in cunning, nor engage it in combat when it presents itself to them because its terrifying appearance weakens their courage, disturbs their vision, sets their hands shaking, and neutralizes their skill." End quote. Whoever wrote that was taking some shots, buddy. Goddamn. And just fucking calling them all out.
Americanized version. This thing's bigger, badder, meaner, smarter, faster, and when people see it, their balls go in their throat and they can't do shit because they're shaking so bad.
That's what that fucking article said. Whoever wrote that is a dick, but it's funny. Eventually, the story would spread, and in 1765, the area government would step in and try to help. Enter Dragoon Captain Jean-Baptiste Boulandet Duhamel, the man who left the quote for our cold open, and a local official named Etienne Lafont. The two of them decided to get together and play Gaston and rallied a force of men to kill the beast. That was a Disney reference.
Yes, I got it. Thank you.
Duhamel claimed at one point to have gathered a force of 30,000 men. Yeah.
Is there even that many people in France?
I guess he said that's how many he got. That's a fuck ton of dudes.
This is just post Spanish flu, ain't it?
1764? No, the Spanish flu is 1912, brother.
And what's the one? Oh, okay. Wrong disease.
Yeah.
That was, plague was 14 or 16?
Maybe both. 14, 15, something like that. But no, this is not around any plague era or anything like that. There was a bunch of wars going on right then. Like, this was the end of the 100 Years' War with England and whatever.
Okay. 30,000 people.
That's a fuck ton of dudes, though.
It really is.
Like, even now, you'd be hard-pressed to get 30,000 fucking dudes together.
With a draft.
But Duhamel tackled the problem with the tactics and strategies learned over the course of his military career. Not only did he begin by having poisoned bait left along the trails, but in a stroke of pure genius born in a truly cunning and tactical mind, he had some of his men dress up as women in order to lure the beast into an attack. So you had a bunch of soldiers wearing dresses, working the fields with guns under their skirts and shit, waiting for the beast to come out and attack them, because it did occasionally attack men, but most of the attacks were on women and children. So
you want to know the population of France in 1765?
I certainly do.
26,100.
Well, then this is either a typo or a goddamn lie.
Or all the forces of Europe.
Like 2 countries worth of dudes. I don't know, maybe it was 3,000 dudes and it just said 30,000 in what I was reading.
I'm just checking Europe just to I'm having fun with this. Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
All right. We've got right here it's gonna be in Europe 340,000.
That's not. Why do I feel like those are really low fucking numbers? Holy shit.
I don't know. Even Japan had 27 million.
Right.
Okay. Nah. All right. This is weird stuff now. Please continue. I'm sorry.
Anyway, well, it doesn't matter how many guys he had and what he tried, like even dudes in skirts. It didn't work. So at which point there were other ideas that got floated, like crazier, more desperate ideas, such as building female mannequins out of meat, but making the heads out of bags of knives and viper poison. So in hopes that the creature would attack the head and like poison itself, I guess. Which is creative, but you know.
I recently read something like that. Like for bear hunting or something.
Okay.
You know their bear armor? You've seen it. I know you have.
Maybe, yeah.
Mongolian bear armor?
No. I don't think so.
Spiky.
Spiky?
Heavy metal. Very spiky.
They wear it and go fight bears?
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, but they poison the tips of it.
Oh.
So, like, they punch a bear to death.
I mean, that's like both badass, but kind of the bitch way out. If you're covered in spikes, what do you need the poison for? Just go fight the bear.
Well, I don't know. But the suits are cool. I'll send you a picture.
All right. Bet.
Le bet.
La bet. Now, the reward for killing Le Bête de Gevaudan was raised at this point up to 6,000 livres, which I'm not sure exactly what that translates into in today's money, but at the time, that was roughly a working man's yearly salary. So it's a fuck ton of money. Like, you kill this thing, you take the year off, bud. Now, Duhamel did manage to kill a big wolf while he was out hunting Le Bête. But when the authorities tried to call it the Beast and tell people that their troubles were over, everybody called bullshit. And they were right. Word kept spreading as the killings continued, and even people in England eventually heard about Le Bête, and that embarrassed King Louis XV into action. He met himself with Duhamel and brought some famous hunters with him, and they hatched a plan. And yeah, it still didn't work. They had like 8 shifts of dudes like running checks, and it still did not fucking work. But the papers, despite mostly carrying the tragedy and kind of making fun of people, did not only carry the stories of the killing spree. The papers also carried the heroic times when the beast was thwarted. Like in January of 1765, when Le Bête attacked a boy named Jacques Portefeuille and 7 other children while they tended cattle in a meadow. So this is from the paper. On 12th January 1765, 5 boys and 2 girls from the village of Le Villeret d'Apachier parish guarded the cattle of their families on a pasture, probably swept free of snow by the wind in a mountainous region in the northeast of the Margeride. When the beast appeared suddenly, the 7 joined together for defense under the instruction of the largest of the children, the 12-year-old Jacques-André Portefeuille. In the front line, the 3 12-year-old boys. In the second row, the 2 girls. In which case, we only know the age of Madeleine, 9 years old. Behind them, the 2 8-year-old boys. All children were armed with a stick with a metal blade at the end. As long as it was not used, this blade, which was as sharp as a knife, was covered with a leather sheath to prevent the danger of injury. The children pulled off these protective covers and made the sign of the cross. The beast circled around the group and looked for the most suitable victim, while the children tried to keep it at a distance with their lances. Finally, it attacked the 8-year-old Joseph Portefeuille, or 12-year-old Joseph Portefeuille on his neck. That's a typo. The 3 oldest stabbed it, but could not penetrate its skin with their lances. When the beast retreated, however, it tore a piece from Joseph's right cheek and devoured it. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah, no, Joseph Portefeuille must be dude's little brother. My bad. So it got him. It got the little brother, Jacob. Tore a chunk off his face. The beast now concentrated its attack on the 8-year-old Jean Verrier. So it's going after the youngest ones. What a fucking dick.
Smart.
And pushed him to the ground with its muzzle. Left him there as the 3 eldest children stabbed it again. Then attacked Jean on his head. Bit into his lips, seized his arm, and carried the boy off. The children followed the beast and drove it to a swamp, 50 steps away, where it sank up to its stomach, and in this way was prevented from moving quickly with its prey. Among the children, driven by panic-stricken fear, there was a verbal exchange, whether it would be better to run away. Jacques Portefeuille, the oldest, shouted that he would either save his comrade or perish with him, and ran ahead towards the beast. The other children followed his example, even Joseph, who was badly hurt. They attacked the beast with their lances. Once again, could not penetrate its hide. Tried in vain to hit its eyes, but hit its open mouth. The beast snapped at Jacques Portefeuille's weapon and bent it. In the meantime, it prevented its victim from escaping by holding him with a paw. Under the continued attacks of the children, the beast jumped back and let Jean go. Jacques Portefeuille brought himself into position between Jean and the beast. Jean pulled himself up behind Jacques at his coat, raised himself, and escaped with an arm injury. The beast ran to a hill. The children pursued it, and the beast fled, and finally crossed a stream. Meanwhile, a man who has been alarmed by the screams hurried to the place where the sounds came from. When the king was informed, this would be Louis XV, about the brave rescue of little Jean, he handed over a reward of 300 livres to Jacques Portefeuille. The other 6 children received the same as a total sum. The chroniclers of that time even recorded details as to the body heights of the children. Jacques Portefeuille, for example, was 1.32 meters tall. The 2 smallest boys, 1.1. Go ahead, Jacob, give us that math, would you?
1.32 would be just over 4 foot tall.
Mm-hmm.
The other ones aren't even, they're like 3'8".
Yeah, 3 foot something. Yeah. These are little guys, man. Like little guys. My kids are almost that big.
I'm damn near twice that big.
I mean, right? So these are pretty badass fucking kids, man.
Yeah.
Like, give it up for them. They're pretty badass kids. Another heroic tale comes from August of 1765 when Marie-Jeanne Vallée was crossing between branches of a river in a wooded area when she turned around and found Lebet directly behind her. As it reared up for an attack, Vallée had the presence of mind to wedge the butt of her homemade spear into the ground and put the pointy end into the chest of the beast. So she like Bravehearted that motherfucker. Fucking Mel Gibson, that son of a bitch. Injured but not dead, Lebet raised a paw to its newly acquired wound and cried out loudly. Okay, I just want to make sure everybody caught that, so I'm going to read that sentence one more again. Injured but not dead, Lebet raised a paw to its newly acquired wound and cried out loudly. Everybody got that? Okay. It then rolled off the end of the spear and into the water of the river. There is a statue depicting this incident in Gevaudan, and I will share a picture of that statue on our social medias.
Never-ending story, too. How he kills that wolf thing.
Ah, yes.
It dives at him.
Atreyu's that son of a bitch.
Yeah. Yep.
Very good, Jacob. I wonder if that was inspired by this.
It is a monster wolf.
It's a big-ass wolf thing, right?
Yeah.
And Atreyu fucking spear butts it, and yeah. I don't know. Maybe it is. That'd be kind of cool to know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm Jacob, it put its paw on its wound.
Ouch.
What fucking animal does that, Jake?
I don't. if a dog's injured, they lick it.
Yes.
They lick their injury.
Yes, but what animal puts its paw to a fresh wound?
Humans.
They're the only fucking ones that I fucking know of. Monkeys, maybe. Apes.
No. Because I've watched a lot of videos. I've read a lot, but monkeys kind of do the same thing as dogs, but like they'll like growl at it, like it pisses them off.
Yeah,
that's a very human-like
reaction. Okay, moving on. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Moving on. In the meantime, Duhamel kept trying and failing to kill the beast. And eventually, old King Louis, ordered... That was another Disney reference. Sorry. King Louis ordered him to stand down. King Louis then hired and sent in 2 professional wolf hunters from Normandy, because everybody still thinks this is a wolf. They were, and this one I'm going to fuck up. Here we go. Jean-Charles Marc-Antoine Vaumesley Deneval.
Come on.
I don't know why that dude needs such a long fucking name, but it was that guy and his son, Jean-Francois, which is a much easier name to say.
His name is the equivalent of the daily meals of Merry and Pippin.
Yes. You got first name, second name, fucking first middle name, second middle name, dinner, afternoon tea. Yeah, he's got a bunch of them.
What about second breakfast?
What about second breakfast? Anyway, Jean-Charles claimed to have killed over 1,200 wolves by this point in time and was convinced that the beast was indeed a Eurasian wolf. Which, if you don't know what a Eurasian wolf looks like, just think of a wolf. That's pretty much what they fucking look like, okay? Which is nothing like what the creature looks like, just in case we didn't make that clear.
Pig head.
So, where Duhamel had tried to hunt with large parties and military tactics, if you can call putting men in dresses military tactics, the father-son team did the exact opposite and hunted it like fucking hunters. Okay? They employed stealth and patience and 8 bloodhounds trained specifically to track and attack wolves. Were you hunting a wolf? That sounds like a good fucking idea. Unfortunately, months of this went by and nothing. They got nothing. They got bubkiss. And the killings continued. And in June of 1765, Francois Antoine, the king's lieutenant of the hunt, officer of the royal bedchamber, not sure I want to know what that title means, and gun bearer was sent in to take the wolf hunter's place. By this time, the description of the creature had grown to include that it could walk on 2 legs, had amazing leaping abilities, and its hide could repel bullets. So, yes, Jacob.
Dogman.
It fucking sounds like it. Now, like I said, this thing got shot like a lot. And by this point, a ton of witnesses claim to have seen it get shot and just shake it off. Right? And, right. And its eyes glowed red with fire. Because, of course, they did. Don't they all? Now, on September 20th or 21st, Antoine, the king's bedchamber guy, manages to kill a really big fucking wolf. Like, really big. This time, people buy it. And the wolf is stuffed and paraded around and eventually taken to the Palace of Versailles and immediately buried because it had decayed so much. And everybody at this point pretty much thinks the Beast of Gevaudan is dead. Like, apparently this wolf was so goddamn big that they were like, yeah, that's got to be the thing killing everything. That is until December, when 2 boys, aged 6 and 12, were attacked. The beast tried to drag off the younger boy, but the 12-year-old managed to fight it off, being one badass motherfucker, like apparently they grew them at the time. Like, I know I got an 8 and 10-year-old, and neither one of them would even think about fighting a fucking regular-sized wolf, let alone an extra big horse-sized one. So, they were apparently way more badass back in the day. In the next year and a half, 30 to 35 more people would fall victim to Lebet. The killings continued until June 19th, 1767, when a local farmer named Jean Chastel would kill the beast, or at least a beast, on the slopes of Mount Mouchet. Jean Chastel had been previously imprisoned by Antoine for leading his hunting party into a bog. Apparently, Antoine had hired Chastel and his 3 adult sons to assist on the hunt. At some point, they were asked if it was safe to enter a swampy area. One of the Chastels lied and said yes. One of Antoine's men wound up nearly sinking in the swamp and only narrowly escaped. Chastel and Sons did not help in this situation and chose to laugh instead of lend a hand. So, they were chucked in the Hoosgow under orders to not be released until 4 full days had passed after Antoine and company departed Gevaudan. This Antoine guy apparently was quite afraid of retribution by the Chastel family. Now, despite his brief imprisonment, Jean Chastel joined another locally put-together hunt. This time, though, Chastel used a larger caliber gun and backed up the main projectile with buckshot. Buckshot made of a special material. Jacob, would you care to guess what the buckshot was made of, sir?
Silver.
Fucking A right, it was silver. According to one version of the story, it wasn't just silver. It was like a St. Mary's medallion that he had melted down or whatever and blessed by a priest and whatever, but either way, fucking silver, bud. And when Chastel shot whatever this creature that he found was, it died and allegedly stayed fucking dead. Allegedly. And that is the story. Jacob, what do you think, buddy?
Well, it's not a wolf.
Fucking A right, it ain't.
It's lycanthrope.
That's kind of the only theory I got that makes sense. There's a lot of people that point to like regular but not regular animals, right? So wolf is one. And there are wolves in the area, no doubt about that. They say perhaps an escaped hyena.
Okay.
I'm not sure how big hyenas get. I know they get kind of big. But I don't think they're that much bigger than a regular wolf, right?
At the biggest, they're going to be as big as a wolf.
Yeah, I would think. And that does kind of fit the description a little better. There are the one hyenas that got the stripe down the butt.
And they got the big old melon.
Right. They got big heads. Like real big necks. Okay, hyena fits the description more than most, honestly. Other people say perhaps an escaped lion. Which kind of fits, like the attack style fits, the size sure shit fits. Lions are big as fuck. The talons on its feet thing fits. The black stripe thing still don't fit. And they don't have like long tails. Lions got kind of short tails.
The largest hyena ever was 190 pounds. And its shoulders was at 3 foot.
Okay, now see how big a Eurasian wolf can get. But biggest ever was 190.
Yep.
And about 3 foot tall. Which means average is smaller than that.
174 pounds.
So not that much fucking smaller.
No.
Like 20 pounds smaller.
Yeah, the largest wolf ever was killed in 1939, and it was 175 pounds.
What kind of wolf was that?
Alaskan.
Those are the biggest kind, though.
Yeah. So Russian gray wolf is 100. It was 174 Eurasian.
So yeah, okay, roughly gray wolf size.
Yeah. Yeah.
So not that much bigger. Hyenas are not much bigger than wolves. They are.
No.
We could say their average is probably close to the same.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so that's
well, that's also the largest species of hyena.
like ever.
Yeah.
Or
Spotted.
okay, so there goes your stripe anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the laughing hyenas or whatever that got the stripe.
Yeah, and
they're smaller.
Yeah, they're like 100. I want to say 110, 120.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So hyena may be out. Lion, probably out.
Yeah, honestly, the biggest thing is they have that. No, they're big. They have size. Not agile enough to walk on their feet.
Yeah,
like
I know.
their
They're not walking
rear
on their
feet.
hind legs.
Also, they're very feline looking.
Correct. The reason I do give a little credence to lion even, or hyena for that matter. Yes, at the time, those animals were known outside of their home area and they were known in Europe, but we're talking about very rural peasant people.
Yeah,
who
they
for
can't watch
sure
the TV.
had never fucking seen one.
Yeah.
You know? So whether it's a lion or a fucking, to say it might be like a wolf, that might be just the closest thing you know to describe it.
Except they get stabbed in the chest. And it goes, ow.
Yeah, that does kind of put a little damper on that fucking theory, don't it?
Yeah.
I mean, assuming that part of the story is true.
Who would make that up?
So, it's not a wolf. Not a hyena. Although that's close. Still, it doesn't quite fit the descriptions all the way through.
Closer.
It's not a lion. There is one theory that I do kind of like. And that is the extant species theory. So at one time, there were hyenas in Europe during the Pleistocene that were huge as fuck. Like huge as fuck. So maybe a relict population of those. One got loose, one on a rampage. Maybe. It's pretty far-fetched. I get it, but maybe. There were also cave lions. And those were still alive even during, like, the Greek times. Like, for real, still alive.
It was actually the cave hyena.
Yeah. It was a big motherfucker.
Yeah, we're going to see just how big it was. Let's see. Size. Description. How much is a kilogram? All right.
That's like 7 bald eagles.
Two 227 pounds.
So that one fits the description a little better. That is significantly bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, but they were spotted too.
Were they?
Yep.
Well, fuck. There goes your stripe theory.
Yeah.
But so either way, I can still think maybe a relict population of those.
Tasmanian tiger.
They're not big enough either. They're little guys.
Yeah. Yeah. So like.
Or
some kind of subspecies.
Those are the theories that make some kind of sense. Or fucking it was a werewolf.
Effing like him.
It was a goddamn werewolf, bud.
Because you lost the dog, man, once you said it was killed by Holy Silver.
Right. Yeah, it's a goddamn werewolf, I guess.
Yeah.
If you believe the stories as they are, that's what the fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, and just because. So the silver bullet thing. I'm going to speak as a gun guy for a minute. If you make conical bullets in a modern firearm and you make them out of silver, they don't work very well. They do not spin and go straight. They tumble through the air. That argument is a little bit more null and void when you're talking about smoothbore musket style weapons. because the ball's just round. It can tumble if it wants. They're all going to fire the same. The thing that would make it less effective, though, and this is just from a ballistic standpoint, lead when it hits the target actually flattens and spreads, causing a bigger wound channel. Silver would not do that. It would just punch through. It's still lethal, though. So just in case anybody was thinking about the silver bullets don't actually work thing, you're right. But in this case, that is mitigated by the type of firearm that we're talking about. So
Flintlocks, they use a lot of powder to get their projectile. Like, get it kicked up to speed. They used a lot of powder. And it's powder right on.
They actually used the propellant force of their powder was actually, they used it in quantities that were less explosively energetic than we use in the same caliber of firearm now.
I remember reading somewhere that it was like way more heated though. Like there was more heat in the projectile.
From just black powder to what we should fire now?
Well, I don't know about now, but there was a lot of heat.
Oh, there's always a lot of heat when you fire a gun.
So if
the heat that you're talking about is the external heat from the way that a flintlock operates, which is it ignites powder outside of the gun in order to ignite powder inside the gun. So the heat would actually flash in your fucking face from that. That was a true statement right there.
Well, I know silver, if it's pure silver, it's not very hard.
Still harder than lead. Still hard enough to penetrate. It might deform some depending on what you hit with it, but it's not as deforming as lead.
No, if anyone who's ever been fishing and uses a split shot, you dent it with your teeth.
Right. Lead is very soft.
Yeah. All right. It's a werewolf.
It's a werewolf.
It's an effing werewolf.
It's a fucking werewolf, but I really don't have any other really explanation for that one. It's not as mysterious as Dyatlov Pass. We at least know it was an animal that caused it, but what one or what it might be, fuck, y'all let us know. Join the Facebook group and tell us what your fucking theory is, because we're going with werewolf, I guess.
Well, you know how I am about dogmans and werewolves.
Yes, I know you're obsessed.
I'm obsessed.
All right, then, everybody. As always, we thank you so very much for choosing to join us here on the Paranatural Podcast and spend your time listening to our stupid asses talk. And with that, I will say, we love you. Good night.
Watch out for the lycanthrope, and make sure you carry pointy wood with metal on it. And don't get dead. Stay safe out there.
Don't get got.
Love you. Don't get got.
Don't get got.